Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everybody around the world. Welcome back to another One Piece video featuring your boy Kuzan. Coming at you guys with a very spicy deck profile featuring OP12 here on the channel, let alone a leader in which seems to be very popular. Unfortunately, some would say not top tier when it comes to the metagame. And I can see that, I can understand it, but at the same time, we're going to sit here, we're going to dive into a list, we're going to play a bunch of games today as we typically do. We're going to do something a little bit different here and dive into a little bit of OP12, coming up with Kuzan and Eustace Captain Kidd very soon, which should probably follow this video, give or take. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and dive into this list real quick, we're going to talk about it, then we're going to do what we normally do here on the channel. Let's get into it. Unfortunately, Kuzan, his leader ability, very strong, allowing you to draw cards, win any of your Navy characters and or events, allow you to trash cards. So for example, Suru, basically you trash 2 when you play this on board, then you also get to draw 2 off your leader ability, considering a Navy type character or a Navy type card made you trash a card, or made you trash due to an effect, which is really cool. So this effect basically is free because you get to replenish it by drawing 2 cards, which is kind of nice. You have other options here with things like Sengoku. This would probably be the best searcher in the game, arguably. You trash 1 card from your hand, look at the top 5, you take 2 Navy type cards other than Sengoku and add them to your hand. That could be a Navy event, that could be a Navy character, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you get to get 2 cards off of this ability, and then you get to get 1 more card off of your leader ability due to the fact that Sengoku makes you trash a card from hand, which is really strong. This deck in itself has a lot of 2K counters, but it also has a lot of bricks. And that is very unfortunate, considering our top end is typically going to be Garp, Sakazuki, and Kuzan. We don't have like ridiculous heavy hitters here. We don't have 12k bodies. We don't have 10k bodies here in this list and or in most Kuzan decks you're going to find out there. So I would say this deck would be like a mid game, if you will. The late game is not up to par with some of the other top tier meta decks out there, but it can go the distance with cards like Kuzan. Kuzan allows you to trash 1 card from your hand and one of your opponent's characters cannot attack. So essentially it's like Boa, the 6-drop, except for Kuzan can hit anything, you know? Whereas Boa can hit anything outside of Luffy variants. And there's a lot of Luffy decks running around here, so Boa 6-drop kind of loses a little bit of value. Whereas Kuzan, being a 6+1, so making him a 7 cost if you have 5 cards or more in your hand, which is not hard to do due to the fact that you get to basically replenish your hand with your leader ability, which is really nice. It's just this guy allows you to stop a lot of incoming attacks. And you're able to cheat him out for free with 8 cost Garp here. So you drop Garp on board, then you can play down another Navy type character of 8,000 power or less. And that also enables the fact that if you had characters of 10,000 power or more that were Navy, you couldn't necessarily utilize them with Garp. So Garp does synergize very well with these characters, in which you can actually cheat bodies out on board to get off other effects, which is really good. Now, when it comes to bricks, if you notice, we have 14. We have 4 Kuzans, 4 Sakazuki, and then 4 Garps, that's already 12, and then plus 2 Aramaki. That's 14 bricks in the deck, not counting the events that you already have, and these are kind of going to be staple for you. You're going to be running with Ice Block. This is technically like a Gum Gum Giant, but a little worse, if you will. Giant minus this 2 Dawn, we all know what this card does. Allows you to draw 2 extra cards, 4,000 power. Cool. This is the exact same thing, except for you have to trash 1 card from your hand, and then you gain 4,000 power. But thankfully, due to the fact that Kuzan's ability, if you trash a card due to a Navy effect, you get to draw you know, an additional card, which is cool. Same thing as Gum Gum Giant, except for we don't minus the Dawn and we draw one less card. So I mean, give or take, very, very strong. It also has that trigger effect, trash one, draw one. So it's pretty good in a pinch. And then of course, 2 Red Rocks and then 2 Raging Tigers. Raging Tigers are searchable off of your Tashigis and off of your Sengoku, but the Red Rocks of course are not. So we are only running 2 of each of these. You can change ratios here if you will, but I feel like 2 and 2 is kind of a good number if you want to go up to 3 of these. That way you're able to see it maybe one or once a game. Awesome. Just due to the fact this is searchable, I typically only run like 2 Raging Tigers, at least at this moment in time when it comes to playtesting. Now, let's touch back again on the other card here, Aramaki, in which we don't really get to play around with this card all too much outside of like meme decks or like off meta decks. We're talking things like Rebecca, but in Kuzan, this actually does make sense. Consider we can cheat it out with Monkey D. Garp, and it has a useful ability for Activate Main. This allows you to bottom deck characters that are 2 cost or less, which is really, really good due to the fact that that's hitting prominent cards in the current metagame. It allows you to remove the 2 cost blocker Beji in Law variants and Kid variants in any Supernova deck, which is really, really good. Because I feel like if this can stick on board, or if you can stick a Tashigi on board, they're very, very hard to remove. Of course, Aramaki can't do anything about this, so there's that. But we can remove the Beji, which allows us to do things like Gravity Blade or Red Rock if we need to remove another character on board. Outside of that, Tashigi, we don't really have a whole lot of removal here to deal with that, unless you guys are going to be doing things like Jozu, which is really, really good here for this deck, and you do have room to splash them in here. This allows us to bounce back things like Cavendish, the 5 cost Smoker, Tashigi. Jozu's pretty good here as well. This particular list, we are not going to be utilizing Jozu, and we'll get into a different variation of Kuzan at the end of the video as we typically do. I'll leave the deck list in the descriptions below, but currently this is what we're cooking up. We're going to dive into a bunch of games here. Let's get into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're going to go ahead and dive into a bunch of games today. Coming at you guys with Kuzan playing into Law and OP12, in which this is a very, very hard matchup for me. Unfortunately, he does have access to Tashigi, and he has access to the 2 cost Beji, which makes our removal, packages and stuff a little bit lackluster here, which gives Law access to playing down the Cavendish, the 7-drop Law, 8 cost Eustace Kid, with a little bit more ease, if you will. And it makes this very, very difficult to get over. So I'm expecting him to play a couple Bejis, give or take, maybe a couple Cavendishes, the usual. But speaking of which, there's the first one. Also, I do have a couple complaints here and there when it comes to playing this list or playing this deck in general. Our second turn here, we typically don't have a lot going on. We're either playing down Searchers, or we playing down Maynard for the blocker, the 2 cost blocker, or we're we playing down the 3 cost Sengoku. We don't have a lot of bodies or a lot of plays that we utilize here on 4 Dawn, which is unfortunate. And I think that's more so we don't have a lot of things to slot in here for this particular spot. So we kind of got to play around with it a little bit. The other options would be just walling up. And it doesn't make any sense because we don't have a lot of stuff that we play here for 4 Dawn, whereas other decks do. And this is where I feel like Kuzan feels a little bit lackluster, if you will. But maybe I need to tackle this deck list in a different way and utilize other cards that aren't necessarily Navy. But I feel like it hurts consistency to dabble into too many things into this list that aren't Navy, because you want to be able to get your draw effect off with Kuzan as consistent as possible. But this is why I mentioned things like Jozu earlier, whereas I feel Jozu's a good fit for the list, but again, he's not going to get you value when it comes to drawing extra cards. But each their own. In any case, your boy got himself Cavendish on board. And I've come to find out that after playtesting this into many matchups, the 6-drop Kuzan here is very good into green decks. It's also very strong into purple decks. And we're particularly talking about being able to freeze things like Cavendish, or the 5-cost Smoker, or the new 6-drop purple Luffy. You know, the one that allows you to like make your leader a 7,000 power or what have you. That card's problematic. So when you're able to play Kuzan down, you can go ahead and stop their whole shenanigans and stuff like that, which is really, really good. Outside of that, I feel like Kuzan is very strong into green decks as well. And that's pretty much it, unless I'm missing something. I feel like Red, Shanks, Rayleigh, Zoro, they kind of just... they got that wide board, you know what I mean? And Shanks has that very, very tall late game, which being able to freeze one Shanks doesn't really help as much as you would think. Whereas in green decks, you know they want to play Cavendish on curve, and they want to swing with them the following turn. You can freeze that, stop that from happening. Kind of skew their whole plan, which is kind of nice. Speaking of which, we're at 8. We're going to go ahead and drop the Garp. I think this is a very, very good way of removing the Veggie here, because I'm not utilizing Houndblaze, in which I wish we could. And I think I want to try to package Houndblaze into this list here just for moments like this. Whereas Houndblaze also allows me to remove the 1-cost Bonnie searchers, Momonosuke searchers for those people that are still running Yamato, but mainly for just the 1-cost searchers. Houndblaze makes us an 8k, which is really, really nice, allowing us to swing in for 8, which gets over the new Nami. It gets over the 6,000 power law builds, Eustace Kids, and which you guys will utilize and or see here in OP12, because they have access to the new 3-drop Jewelry Bonnie. So, Houndblaze in itself is very good in Sakazuki. In Kuzan, it feels a little bit lackluster because you can't get that additional -1 off anything in the deck. So, your targets are kind of slim, but it's very good into yellow variants just because you can remove certain pieces that allow you to stop removal. So again, like the 2-cost veggies and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. So something I've been trying to play around with. Until then, I've been utilizing Aramaki, Aramaki. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. It is what it is. I don't really care for this character, Green Bit, whatever you want to call him. It is what it is. But him and himself already removes Veggie for me, and he's a very, very strong blocker. So being able to become a 11k body when you're swinging, and using his skill to trash one, remove something, also allows Kuzan to draw off his leader effect. So you get the cycle, you get the bottom decking, you get the power up. Very strong here for this deck. Oof, and he does get the Veggie back because he knows we got the Gravity Blade. So, and I think we can still get around this because next turn we can do the exact same thing and bottom deck the Veggie, then play Gravity Blade to bottom deck the Cavendish here. 5-cost law. That always catches me off guard. So I feel like a lot of law players just overlook this card and don't utilize it. Or you just never see it. And he might as well just swing here with the blocker, because he knows we're gonna bottom deck him next turn. I don't think he forgot about the Gravity Blade. So we can go 9 here to lead. We'll take this hit. We get a Pudding, which could be pretty valuable here. He's got 7 cards in hand. We won't have enough Dawn to utilize it though, because we want to play Gravity Blade. In a sense where I feel like Gravity Blade is a little expensive, right? Especially for this deck, utilizing everything that's 8 cost. So we need to keep this on board if possible. Alright, go ahead. I need him to swing with Law though. I think he's going to. Yeah, cool. Give you the 2k here. And then we can probably clear Law. And then remove the 5-drop Law and Cavendish with Gravity Blade. So I'm going to go ahead and bottom deck the Veggie. We can pitch the Red Rock here, I think. I think we're fine doing that. Just in case he's got another Beji or Tashigi for the following turn and we can't remove like the 7-drop Law on board. Get the Power Boost, get a Borsalino. Cool. We'll go ahead and Gravity Blade both of them. Yeah, we'll Gravity Blade both of them here real quick. I'd rather do it this way, that way we can run Aramaki into the rested Law. And we're not going to go for the 7-drop, we're going to try to clear the other one because that's probably guaranteed. Nice, okay. Because I think if we were to smack into the other Law and he guards out, that probably is going to be like very, very bad for us at this point. We'll go 7 lead and we'll just go 8 and 8 and leave 1 Dawn up for our event. If we can get him to 0 here, we should be able to win the following turn. Unless he's got Hody Jones, then it could be problematic if we don't get any counter off life. We'll go 8 here as well. 5 cards left in hand. I kind of was contemplating on attacking with both of them because he has Law up and he might just swing into one of our bodies here next turn, but for sure he's going to clear one of them. Okay. We almost put him to 0. But surely he has to be like no counter, right? And on this turn he's going to have to heal up or wall up here or go for game. So if he does have the Hody Jones here, I think he should have played it before he played the 1-drop Searcher. That way he had more Dawn. So I'm guessing he does not have Hody. He did, however, get another Law, so he is going to heal. Then he gets the Dawn for free. 2 Dawn left over, which makes him a 7, giving 1 Dawn attached to the 7-drop Law to clear one of our bodies on board. Because then we just take the 7k hit, and then... No, actually, sorry. We can guard out the 7k hit. Yeah, we can guard out the 7k hit. Just in case he saves Dawn for things like Room or what have you, I want to have bodies on board and still be healthy, so... Would he have Room or would he attach the Dawn to clear something? I don't want to risk it. It might be silly to do this, but we're going to activate our event here. Just in case. This also allows us to draw an extra card here too. We'll get rid of the Borsalino here. Maynard is a little bit cheap, so I mean being a 2 cost, which is fine. And we get another Gravity Blade. That kind of sucks right now. He's going to clear something, which should be the Aramaki. Yep. That's fine. We have no choice anyway. So unfortunate, man. If he hadn't attached the Dawn here, I think we would have saved the 1-cost event for the body instead of our leader. But wasn't too sure. We'll go ahead and go 7 lead. And we have enough. I want to leave enough Dawn up to drop both blockers on board, just in case he has Hody Jones. Depends on what he does here, realistically. Okay, never mind, we just won. Not a bad game, not a bad game. Pretty solid overall. Nice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're going to dive into another game. Coming at you guys with Kuzan, playing into Purple Blue Sanji in OP12, in which this deck list is not like, it's not too fancy, man. You're playing 3-cost Sanjis and a whole lot of events. That's pretty much it. The events are typically play this, search a character for Straw Hat Pirates or Gum Gum Giants, you know, give your character or leader, you know, boosts. Things like that. They do utilize removal, like 3000 Worlds, Gravity Blades, and Red Rocks, but nothing which you haven't seen in another blue deck. They do have the new Reiju, which is kind of cool, you know. It's just a big blocker. That's pretty much it. Outside of that, they don't have a lot of big bodies in this deck, in which you typically would see in things like Blue Purple Luffy. So you're not going to be running into things of Big Mom or Katakuri, 9-cost Sanji, thankfully. But there are some spicy variants of Sanji out there. I wish we would see more of this deck, but unfortunately in OP12 it seems that Zoro and Luffy are still just running around, as well as Bello Betty. So there's not a lot of Sanjis out there that are cooking, you know what I mean? If you will. But we'll see what we can do here. This matchup is still very, very challenging because Sanji has access to the 6-cost Luffy, which next turn, if he has it in hand, he goes on curve. It's very problematic for us due to the fact that we play on curve. We're already at 6 Dawn, so that means next turn we have access to Garp, Kuzan, Sakazuki, for example. We're playing things down, big bodies on curve. Which means our leader can't typically swing or get over a 7k leader or a 6k leader if we're playing bodies down on curve, if we don't have Sakazuki on board to give us that rest at dawn. It's problematic. So, every purple deck out there every purple deck that utilizes Straw Hat Pirates are going to be running this card. Thankfully, for us, we have ways of removing it with the Gravity Blade, Jozu, if you're running Jozu in your Kuzan variants, or Red Rock. Considering they are not utilizing the Going Merry stage. At least I haven't seen a Sanji build that has been using that, so that's good. But in any case, we actually get the top deck the Garp, which is nice. We're going to go ahead and drop Kuzan on board. And Kuzan should be able to lock this down. We get another Kuzan here, which is really, really strong. Kuzan should be able to lock this down and freeze Luffy from attacking. In which now he cannot become 7k power next turn, which is really, really good. And I believe, if I remember, I talked about Boa, the 6-drop Boa, which is very similar to Kuzan. If Boa could freeze Luffy, I think she would still be played here as well. There were just too many Luffy variants out there in which can utilize the 6-cost Luffy here to become a 7k lead. Kuzan, if we can chain these back to back, we can stall and or stop a lot of these decks from becoming 7k leaders, which is kind of nice. So I think Kuzan is quite strong, allowing us to draw free cards here and then being a +1, so being a 7 cost if we have 5 cards or more in hand, which is just really, really easy for us to do. But I think it's the freeze that really helps this deck out, especially if you can chain them back to back here. I think Sanji's probably going to have a hard time. He's already at 1 life. He's got a ridiculous amount of cards in hand here. Ooh, okay. Sure. We'll trash a card here. Guess we don't need Sakazuki at this point. That's fine. It would be nice if we had another Garp here. We can play Sakazuki next turn, but we're just going to play Kuzan down to freeze Luffy anyhow. What did he do? What did I miss? Okay. What is that? Jet Cullivan? Okay. That's fine. So we 3,000 worlds. We used Borsalino's effect to trash draw 1. Then he played the Gum Gum Jet to remove it. That's fine. It be what it be. That's a pretty good card, and I've been thinking about running that in Kuzan as well. I know it's crazy because it's not Navy type, but it allows us to remove the the Tashigi and the 2-cost Veggies if we don't have any other removal, and it's cheap. Essentially it's Hound Blaze, but unsearchable, and we don't gain the power, right? But we're still able to get the removal for the things that we want. So I might be tinkering with that here in a little bit. Okay, this is an interesting Sanji build. I don't normally see some of these characters here. Okay, 6-cost Sanji as well. Interesting. Let's go AK here. I probably should be clearing board and trying to remove the 3-drop. But it's all good, because he's on 1 life. I'm trying to push him to 0 if I can. And then this turn I also have the option of playing the 2-cost Maynard down and leaving 1 Dawn up, which is really good for us. That way we can protect a Kuzan or a Garp this turn, depending on what he wants to do. Okay. Sure. So he's going to clear Kuzan. Gravity Blade our blocker. Not Gravity Blade, sorry, 3,000 worlds. Luffy can't swing, but he has 2 other Sanjis up. And that 1 Dawn active there is probably going to be a Gum Gum Giant. If I had to guess. 7 here. You got it. I knew he was going to be able to clear it, but I'd rather him just attack this instead of going for face for both of these swings. So that's why we decided to guard out the first hit. And actually you can guard this as well, but there's no point because he's just going to run that into that. I don't think it's worth to drop the 1-cost event. Alright, what you going to do? You either give me a card, or you go 8k into Garp, and then you give up your resources here. Because next turn we should be able to win. Just with 2 bodies on board. Unless he's got some 0-cost events here. On top of Gum Gum Giant to survive, maybe? 7 lead, sure. Okay. Another 2k. This card's interesting. It's very similar to Jozu. Let's go ahead and go 5 lead. We should have game here. Okay. Let's do 9 here. He either has it or doesn't, right? And I think we'll survive next turn anyway, just because we have the Kuzan here. Okay, so we got the counter off the Gum Gum Giant, so we did have the Giant. Yeah, we could have went taller there, but it's okay. I don't necessarily think we're in the danger zone just yet. Because we have 4k counter plus the Gum Gum in our hand, or sorry, the Ice Pheasant. Go 9, put him on 0. We'll drop another Kuzan on board. We'll freeze the Luffy, that way he can become a 7k. And this also restricts him from only having 3 attacks instead of 4 next turn, which is nice. And we'll pass it over. Because now we've got 4k counter plus the Pheasant in hand, which is really, really good for us. So unless he's utilizing like a Rush Luffy or something like that, I think we're chilling. Yep. So again, Searchers gets a blocker out. The blocker is a problem because we don't have the removal for it. But we should be... Okay, he's just going to go face. Cool. Alright, never mind. And then both Sanjis here are going to swing at me for 7 probably. We'll give you the counter here. I'm going to assume that was a misclick. I'm just going to assume it was. Otherwise, I don't... Yeah, it definitely was a misclick. Okay. That's fine then. At least we get to keep our bodies on board. Ooh, we get a red rock here. We get the answer for the blocker, which is nice. Sorry about this. Top deck's OP. Sometimes you just have to draw the out. Let's go 5 lead here. Cool. Now we can just go 9-9-9. We should be able to have the game. There's Giant again. 0-cost event. Yeah. I'm not too sure how many games we're going to do today, but we'll probably do like 5 or 6, and we'll see where we're at. You know, I feel like I probably shouldn't record this matchup, I'll be honest, but it's Perona. It's something we don't really see all too often, if at all, anymore, due to Gecko Moria being gone. But, OP12, maybe she's playing around with some new tools, new cards and stuff, so, hey man. People are out here on the sim playing decks in which are totally off meta just to get a vibe, get a feel, see if some of the new stuff in OP12 is gonna be relevant here. So maybe Perona's cooking. We'll find out. With that being said though, her leader ability, she's not gonna be resting a whole lot of stuff here for free because we don't play a lot of things in the early game outside of our Searchers and maybe a Borsalino here and there. That's pretty much it, man. We're all late game package with, 6 drops and higher, so she's gonna have to work a little harder here. And thankfully our Kuzan's a 7-cost instead of a 6, in which this Laboon, yeah, he can -4, sure, but we're still a 3 at that point, in which he has to spend a little bit of extra oomph to remove it, which is kind of nice. 6 Dawn. Perona doesn't have access to a whole lot of stuff here that's viable. Again, she has removal, X-Drakes, Ryumas, cool, but you want to play that on Tashigi, go for it, I don't mind. And we have the Gravity Blade. And she knows we had the Gravity Blade. Okay, sure. I don't understand, but okay. You played on the extract to kill the Tashigi, knowing that we have the Gravity Blade here, where we can just bottom deck both of them. Which it doesn't make any sense, but we'll take that. We'll go 5 lead. And that's my fault. I should have went 5 into the Laboon to see if we can get more cards out of hand there. And then I should have Gravity Bladed, but it's fine. Because again, they know that we have it, so they probably would let the Laboon go. Then we would get less value there with the Gravity Blade. But I think in that situation, if I had gone 5 to the Laboon and they let it go, we just play down the Kuzan to freeze the X-Drake. You know what I mean? That was probably the correct play, looking back on this. Or we can play off the Sakazuki here, which is probably better too. Another X-Drake hits the board, 3 Dawn left over. You're going to go 8 lead, or you're going to play a blocker here. Rosinante is looking pretty good, if you got it. No? Okay, 8 to face. We'll get a Gion here, which isn't too good here in this matchup. Perona doesn't typically utilize a lot of events unless she's playing like the Wanu package with the Samurai and stuff. Go ahead and draw real quick, and then we can trash pretty much anything here. I get rid of the Borsalino. 4 cost, can't do anything with it, she can rest it. Make X-Drake not be able to attack, we'll go 5 lead. We'll leave 1 Dawn up for our event. She's going to, what, 10 Dawn next turn? There's a Perona 2K. What do you play for 10 Dawn now, besides, what, Zoro here? I mean, if she did have Zoro, it would be kind of terrifying because we don't have enough here. So I hope she doesn't have Zoro. I mean, we got a little bit of counter. I don't think she could kill us, but still kind of spooky. No Gecko Moria. What are you cooking up? I guess 10-drop Kuzan's the thing still, right? It's a very terrifying card. Okay, Laboon. Sure. Can rest the Garp here, and then probably pop that with an X-Drake or a Ryuma. Or then go 6 or 5 lead at that point. Don Krieg. Spicy. Okay. So Garp is gone. That's fair. Krieg is on the board, which we have to be able to end game next turn to get a couple blockers down to be able to deal with it. 5 lead. I think we can give him the 2K counter. The, what do you call her? Gion. I think we can throw that away here, which is fine. And that's it? Yes. Okay. Good Borsalino. We could freeze the Krieg, which isn't bad, right? Goes to 10. We could Kuzan Borsalino, but it makes no sense for us to do that because she can just rest it. I think we just Kuzan the Krieg and then remove the Laboon by attacking into it. Can't attack, we'll draw 1, get another Sakazuki. Who'd have thought? And then we'll go 7 into Laboon. Please? You don't need this. I mean, you kind of do, but you don't need it. Just let it go. If she guards out, we'll just go 9 into it, just to guarantee it. Cool. We're chilling then. We'll go ahead and go 9 here to put her on 1 life. Nice. And then we have the event to protect ourselves here in case of Hody Jones. I'd imagine if Krieg could attack here, this could be a Hody play, and we would be terrified, but... Well, I guess Hody can come down anyway, right? And then rest the Dawn. And then she could still potentially win the game. Because we have, what, 5k counter in hand. No events at that point if Hody does come down. Okay, Carrot, freezing Kuzan. Rebecca gets back a Laboon from trash, interesting. Plays Shigi down. Why wouldn't you have kept that in hand? just for the 2K, you know? Because at this point, we just need removal for Rebecca. Which I think I want to start utilizing 3,000 Worlds here in this list, even though it's not Navy. And because we don't play a lot of things down when we're at 4 Dawn, so 3,000 Worlds might be pretty viable here for moments like this when we need to remove Carrot or a blocker or, like, you know, Smoker from being in play. So, or just, you know what I mean? The usual, but 3,000 Worlds sounds like a pretty good idea here in this list. I'm gonna have to tinker with it a little bit more and see how I feel about it, but it could be pretty solid. Anyway, Sakazuki. Let's go ahead and trash. Pudding's not going to get value here, nor is Aramaki. We'll give this the lead. 3 cards in hand to get another Garp. Garp's not bad, but now we don't have a body to play off of Garp here because we threw Aramaki away. So that kind of sucks. But perhaps we can put her to 0 this turn at the very least. I think we'll just go 6, and then we'll go 8 with Kuzan and leave up the rest of the Dawn for the events. Or just in case for Hody. There's the 2K. This will get the Rebecca, I imagine. There's not really a point of going for the X-Drake either. I want to try to get her to 0 life. Can we dodge the Hody? Oh yeah, Doflamingo. She plays Doflamingo. That's my bad. Imagine that, man. Chaining Doflamingos back to back. That's a card we haven't seen in a long time. What was that, like OP9, I think, maybe? The beginning of OP10, perhaps? He's kind of like just went away because Teach was prevalent in a lot of places, so. What just happened? Radio Knife? Okay, alright. I like it. Resting the Chishigi, Radio Knifing the Sakazuki, not bad. Freezing Kuzan. Are we in trouble? 5 Dawn left. Porcelino blocker maybe? And then 6K with lead? Because that would be 2 X-Drake, so X-Drake leader, 6 and 6, and Don Krieg. Or do we go 5 with lead, attach 1 to Don Krieg. 4 Don open still. 7 lead here. It doesn't really matter if we take these hits or not, right? 'Cause she can't win. There's no rush unit that's going to help her out here. Unless I'm totally missing something. Sure, but you should have done that originally if that's what you were going to do. Okay. We got a Red Rock. There's no point of bottom decking the Chishigi here. Yep. This we have to guard. There's the Pudding. And GG. Because at this point we just go 9 or 7. You know what I mean. We're gonna go 9. Just math, man. 9 lead, 0, and then go 15 in the face. 14 in the face. Math is hard. I mean, it wasn't a bad game, realistically. I think we did very, very well. I think Perona did not have any late game at all. We didn't see any Hodies, no Doflamingos, no 8-cost kids, nothing. But good. You know, oddly enough, I think Shanks is probably like one of our hardest matchups. Even though we don't see this leader that often now. If this new ban wave that comes out in August does anything to the Luffy variants, right? Like we get rid of the Gum Gum Giant or, you know, all the things people actually want here. And Shanks comes back in the metagame. It could be terrifying. Because he's pretty good being able to become a 6K, 7K lead. Minusing characters on board with his leader ability, the new blocker Shanks as well. Pretty strong deck, man. Kuzan, on the other hand, into this matchup, we don't have a whole lot. Shanks has a much better late game than us, obviously. He also has some pretty good removal with things like Hongo and the Beckman. So he's able to remove our big bodies when they hit the board, so that does suck. And he has 10 drops, so he also makes it where we can't attack him because we play things on curve. Which means play things on curve is good, but swinging into Shanks is bad because we cannot attach the Dawn. in which you can just minus 1000 power and just be chilling, you know what I mean? It's a very hard matchup, I think. But perhaps I'm also looking at this and or going into this matchup all incorrect, so there could be that. But this is our first time diving into OP12 here in the format, so there's a lot of room to grow once I get better at certain matchups here with these deck lists, you know what I mean? But currently, I do think Shanks is very, very good into Kuzan. Speaking of which, we're at, what, 6 Dawn here? Not a whole lot going on. Let's go ahead and run the Sengoku into the Uta. Clear that out of the way real quick. Hongo's on board, so Hongo's is going to be able to minus something next turn, and then playing down Beckman, because he goes to 7 Dawn. Unfortunately. I think I'm going to play Tashigi, or not Tashigi, Suru here, and bounce back the Hongo to hand. This way he can't have Hongo and Beckman on board at the same time. It's really going to be one or the other. But this might just change how he wants to play the game here. We'll see. We'll bounce that to hand. We get to draw 2 cards. Please get the Kuzan. Thank you. That's all we were really looking for here. We're going to go 6 lead. He takes the damage. Cool. Which is kind of unfortunate because he's got like a really big hand there. And Beckman comes down, pops the 2k. We already knew that was going to happen. Goes 5. We'll give you a 2k here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to late game, at least our late game. Drop the Kuzan and the Garp, and then we can freeze the Beckman from a smacking me, or we can play down Sengoku. I think Kuzan here is really good, because that prevents 1 attack. We'll go ahead and draw. We get a Gravity Blade, which at this point in the game is kind of irrelevant, and then we get a Hina. Not bad. And unfortunately, we can't attack because Shanks' ability. I think if we could, this would be a completely different game. You know, getting cards out of hand here, putting Shanks down a couple life. So, yep. 9 cost Shanks is very, very good. 7k lead, man. Terrifying. Sure. Building Snake. It looks like we're playing against some sort of removal variant of Shanks. Which is fine, but... Another Tashigi. I'm tired of seeing your face already. I mean, she did draw us a Garp. So I take that back. Thank you very much for that. We can play down Garp here, get down Sakazuki for free, trash this one. And then I think we're sitting pretty good. Because at this point we can play down the Sakazuki and then give us an extra rested Dawn. And then we can save the other Dawn for our 1 cost event. Sadly enough, we don't have any blockers here. But it be what it be. Let's go ahead and just go 6 lead. Actually, he's 7k, it's not going to help us. Oh, man, this is rough. It's rough, but we got to do it. We can't go 2 turns in a row without attacking lead here. Because last turn we weren't able to swing because we played Garp and Kuzan, right? This turn, he's a 7k body and we still didn't get a damage in. Because it's leader skill. And then now at this point, he just gives us a 2k counter or takes the hit. And he's pretty chilling right now, to be fair. Please? Actually, I shouldn't have attacked here. That's my fault. Because now they just have an easy target. If he has another Beckman, he has the Building Snake pop one and run the Shanks into the other one. Or play 10 drop Shanks. Okay, cool. That's an endgame board right there. It's pretty good. Yep. If we guard out, he clears that with the other Shanks. And he just eats counter from hand here. Funny enough, I would think he would attack with lead first into the Garp. But okay, we'll let it go. That's fine. 5 lead. We have to guard out here. 10 here. I did not math correctly. That's my fault. That is my bad. Because now Kuzan's gone. Oh. We'll drop this on board. That's fine. Yep. We'll freeze the big boy Shanks. We can get rid of the Borsellino here. Freeze this guy. Another Sakazuki. All of our bricks are finally showing up too. Like, it's great in any other matchup where we can actually attack, but this one, of course, we just can't get there. Okay. Minuses our power, gives us the 2k. Or sorry, just gives us the 2k. My fault. Let's go 8 here. Sure. Yep. 0 cost event. Throws away Divine Departure. And then it makes us a 7k there. And this is the new Shanks I was talking about. I think this card is very, very strong, man. Very good card. I might be overlooking it, overthinking it, but I think his ability is pretty good. We need to hit a Gravity Blade. We already have one in trash. I don't remember if we saw the other one or not, to be fair. 10 here. That's kind of irrelevant if we guard out. Or we actually can't, never mind. Or we can with the 1 cost event. We'll do that. This way he's forced to attack and do it again. There's a Gravity Blade, that's really nice. So we don't have to play Tashiki next turn. 10 here. Unlucky. If one of those were a 2k, we were chilling. And then we might have been able to win next turn. Let me go ahead and Gravity Blade both of the blockers here. And start poking. So I think at this point, what we go, 7? Or 6, math. Yep, 2k. It wouldn't have mattered if we went 7 there or not, because he gives us a 2k counter, then minuses 1 on us. Which makes sense. I don't think we can win. I think we lose here. Because we have 8, 8, and 8. All of these need to land in order to win the game. Which is not going to happen. Because now we get to go to 9. He left 1 Dawn up for a reason. I'm not sure if we get here. 0. Good game? Please? Yep. Well played, man. Because at this point, we need to see if those are both 2Ks. It doesn't even matter. Yep, good game. I mean, I tried, man. I tried my best. It was pretty good overall. I mean, I'm not really disappointed. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, after this game here, we'll probably do one more, and then we'll dive back into the deck list, and then on the following video, we'll probably do OP12, Eustace Kid, the yellow variant, and then we'll go from there. I think we're probably going to dive into OP12 this week. Oh, I guess in the beginning of the month, we're going to start OP12 stuff probably. I know that's probably a little bit early, and we don't typically do something like that, you know? But I like to give you guys as many deck lists or variants as possible, instead of keep giving you guys, like, OP11 stuff when we're getting ready to get out of this set. And we get out of this set in August 22nd, so very, very soon. And there's no point of me just, like, giving you guys lists in which aren't updated, so I want to get you guys OP12 stuff as soon as possible. I do have some stuff for OP11 I want to finish that are still relevant, and then we're going to dive into OP12 here very, very soon. So stay tuned for all the content that's coming your way. Let alone, we're playing into Nami. Nami's pretty good. Pretty good in OP12. She finally has access to the Kuma, which allows her to heal, and then if we KO the Kuma, She gets the heal again, which is really strong. We still don't have access to Odin, unfortunately. We're almost there, but currently, you know, you got to make do with what you can. Kuma, on the other hand, on top of the 2-drop Nami that allows you to give like the Rested Dawn instead of playing 2-cost Teach, is so much better. But this deck in general is pretty scary, especially for Kuzan. Being able to play things down on curve and not be able to hit lead is pretty rough. Ooh, Baby 5. I like that, actually. That's pretty good. I think that's the one that allows you to get draw cards. Yeah. Okay, cool. So off trigger, she can draw 2 cards off Baby 5. That's pretty solid. It's a really good idea. I didn't think about that originally. I like that. 7 here. That pudding play earlier, by the way. Yeah, that was pretty good. 5 Dawn open. I'm trying to guard as many hits as I can in the early game. I know there are going to be some in which I can't, but if I can guard it, I'm going to try to guard it here in these Nami matchups. Because I can replenish my hand a little bit easier than she can. She has to hit me, I just have to play a card on board. That's it. And speaking of playing cards on board here, we already have Sakazuki in hands. That's probably not the best idea, right? It's probably better to take the 2k counter, if being fair. I think that's what we're going to do here. Go ahead and get Sokka down. Sokka does help us out in this matchup here, because this forces Nami to basically give me a 2k, which is nice. Instead of her throwing away just 1 card. We're going to go 6 here. Nice. And what I mean is we have an extra Dawn to attach the Kuzan. Well, some turns, not all the turns, but yeah. Which allows us to swing for 7. Red Rock. That's a card, unfortunately. I did not mean to take that hit. That's my fault. I meant to let this go for the 1-cost event. That's my bad. Now she got an extra card for that. That sucks. Ooh, man, these are good. This is really good too. We have Garp here and Aramaki. We can remove the Law, and we get a blocker on board, which makes it a little bit difficult for her to hit us and draw extra cards. Because now we'll get the Aramaki down. We can bottom deck the Law. Nice. Another Kuzan off that. And then we have the 1-cost event in hand still. So bottom deck that. We have nothing but 2Ks, Red Rock, and a Kuzan. It doesn't necessarily matter here, right? Because if we got rid of the Kuzan here and she plays down a Luffy, that could be pretty bad. We're still pretty healthy with the event, the 2Ks, and the Aramaki, so I think it was okay for us to throw away at least 1 2K. Speaking of which, that's another Baby 5. There's a Kuma. Throws away a 2K for that. Awkward. Throws away a Law as well. Goes 7, or goes 8, sorry. We'll do the event this time, because I remembered. Oh, okay. Well, GG, I guess. Gum Gum Giant PTSD, I suppose. I don't know. We got in life there. Kid, Baby 5, Nojiko, Hiyori, and a 1k counter in the Nami. Interesting. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last game of the night, and then we're going to dive back into the deck list here at the end of the video, and then I will post 2 different variants in the description, as I typically do, or at least I'm trying to get into. That way you guys have different variants of Kuzan to play around with. And then I will see you guys in the very next video after this. But in any case, we're playing Kuzan again into Zoro in OP12, which is probably going to be the big bad, the boogeyman of the format, and I'm pretty excited for it. I think personally I'll probably be playing Zoro, Zoro, Katakuri, and then Kuzan, perhaps? And we're talking purple Katakuri once he gets the pudding, you know, the 7-cost pudding. But for the time being, Zoro is very, very scary. Very good card. And unfortunately, if he doesn't have the Tashigi, we're cooking. Okay, he doesn't have the Tashigi. Love to see it. He did get a Cavendish, though. That card is really good. Be able to play out the Hiyori and just search Cavendish. It's very strong. This card is very good, too. But I got lucky. Because typically, if we're going second, and we play out the Borsellino here, and he goes and plays the Tashigi to rest it, then attacks into us, you know, he clears the Borsellino and he does damage to our face. So I did get lucky he didn't find it. So he has it now, but just something to think about. Mostly on 4 Dawn turns, I'm normally going 9k or clearing a body on board instead of trying to put out a blocker here, because most of the time he has the Tashigi in hand and then he can just clear both. So just be a little bit mindful when you're playing into this matchup with Kuzan. Now, I do think the Hina, I've been playing around with this, give or take a couple of days, right? Obviously, we're diving into OP12. Newly here, right? To be fair. But Hina is very good here in this matchup because it allows you to stop a lot of Zoro's blockers, which he doesn't have a whole lot, right? He plays the 2-cost blocker typically, and then he plays down like the Mihawk blocker. We're able to force the 2 costs to not be able to block anything, and then we're able to clear out the searchers, which does come in handy, but unfortunately, he basically has 2 Tashigis on board, which is problematic. He's got a blocker. Oh, sorry, and it doubles as a blocker, which is really, really good. Sure, you got it. Now we'll save that for later. I think there are times where I want to use the 1-cost event here off the trigger, but I think it's a little bit more beneficial just to save it for later. Ooh, man. Actually, you know what? We are going to play down a Kuzan here. If we play down Kuzan here, we can force the Cavendish to not be able to attack this turn. And then he can't get the Dawn back to restand. Which we might be chilling. Because he let the Hina survive, which is silly of him. And then now, we can go 5 here. Cool. He didn't give us the blocker on board. That's interesting. Okay. I don't know why he didn't do that, but we'll take it. Alright, so Zoro's at 9 Dawn. Which is terrifying, because he could have Zoro, so. We do have the Red Rock, but it's kind of irrelevant, because we can't remove him due to Tashigi being on board. Tashigi comes down again. Borsellino is useless, as per usual. They get another Tashigi. And that is the new one. Okay. Clearing this, no problem. Going 10 lead, you got it. There's a Sakazuki, which is pretty good here. That's going to be a tough one, man. Because I think we can rest Hina to make it where his 2-cost blocker can't do anything. We clear the Hina on board at that point. But we also need to develop a body down here. We have no blockers, so. Look at all that counter in hand, man. We're looking pretty good. Get some rested Dawn. We'll toss the Red Rock. In a normal situation, you would never do that because you want to save the Red Rock for his big body, but I can't do anything with it. I mean, he's got the Tashigi on board. I can't remove the Tashigi. It's the problem. And spending 6 Dawn to remove that just seems like not good, you know? Okay, so we got 3 left, just in case Hody Jones at this point. We need to keep 2. I guess actually we should have just kept all 3, right, and swung for 6. That's my fault. Okay. We'll go 9 here. Nice. Okay, so he's at 1 life. We have 1 Dawn open, a ridiculous amount of counter in hand. I think we're fine. I think. I've been wrong before, because there's a Mihawk. This card is so strong in Smoker, by the way. In case you guys didn't think about it, you play Mihawk down for 8 Dawn, right? you restand 4. Then you have 5 cost smoker and then leader smoker, which your stands 3. That's crazy. That's 7 Dawn. So you spent 1 Dawn to play Mihawk. Theoretically, which is really good. But in any case, let's go ahead and lose this game, because it's about to happen. Oh, never mind. We're chilling, we're chilling, we're chilling. We definitely counter out here. Yeah. He has 7 in hand. Pudding might get value here, but we'll see. I still have to get over the blocker on board, and we don't have... Oh, we do have 2 more Hinas, so I guess that makes sense. We can probably play her down next turn as well. 7 here. He's going to be clearing a body on board this turn. He's got to be. So I'm going to go ahead and counter this out. In hindsight, we probably should have taken this hit, but it's okay. 11, you got it. Another Sakazuki. That's unfortunate, to be fair. Ooh, Gravity Blade. Oh, that's right. Gravity Blade's irrelevant, because I can't get rid of the Tashigi on board. Huh. Like I said, the more I think about it, if Hound Blaze was a 3 instead of a 2, it'd be cooking right now. Or if we had any form of like -1 cost reduction, any form of that, this deck would be very, very spooky. Okay, 1 drop. Let's see if we can go for a game here. We'll go 5 lead first. Yep. This pudding is going to be crucial, by the way. Just watch. Because I think he had, what, 7 in hand, or was it 8 in hand before? I don't remember. If this lands, we win. He does have a blocker on board, though, actually. I forgot about Mihawk. Did he also forget about Mihawk? There's no way. Sir? I don't understand why you would go to 0 there. Okay. And good game. Oh, that hand though. Thank you, Pudding. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the end of today's video, in which today we played around with Kuzan and OP12. I do hope you guys enjoyed today's deck list and games. Let alone, we will be featuring Kuzan again here very, very soon on the channel. OP12 is just around the corner, which launches in August the 22nd. Now, with that being said, we also will be diving into OP12 at the very beginning of August, and that's something in which we don't typically do here. I do have a lot of stuff I want to finish here for OP11 when it comes to leader-wise, but we will be dabbling into OP12 quite early this time around, just to get out as many deck profiles and videos as I possibly can for everybody here. That way you guys can have an idea of what to play or what to build or how to build it. We're all still learning as we go, but you know what I mean. In any case, this leader, I feel, is a little bit lacking in the department of control, right? I'm used to playing blue decks that have control. Sakazuki, Queen, for example, Boa. Even Doflamingo had a little bit, right? With the bounce effects, with the law mechanics and the Jinbeis and all that sort of thing. Usopp, for example. But he also is a multicolor leader, so it's a little bit different. Now, when it comes to Kuzan, he doesn't necessarily have that tempo play in which you may be used to with decks like Boa. We don't necessarily have as much removal here in Kuzan as we did with Boa, because she also had access to the bounce law, the Jozu, the rocks, the gravity blades, 3000 worlds, all the other things here. With Kuzan, we are, I don't want to say programmed, but almost programmed to play on curve. Like, you have to see your Garp on 8 Dawn. Typically, you want to go second. All of your big bodies are on going second. When you go first, you're playing down Sakazuki, right? But at the end of the day, the deck itself is just so good. It's so fluid because it's all navy outside of things you put in here with a little bit of spice, right? So anything in here that's extra would be red rock right now in the pudding. Everything else here is searchable, which is not something we typically see unless you're playing only like one archetype, for example. So like Moria or Perona with Thriller Bark and stuff, right? Now, Kuzan, unlike Boa, we don't have a lot of the tempo plays. Instead, we have a lot of card draw. So you're going through your deck quite quickly with the amount of times that you're able to draw. And this is one of the few leaders in the game in which has an effect that you can use multiple times in a turn. Now, with Kuzan, no matter how many cards you play down in a turn, as long as they allow you to trash something and they are Navy, you get to draw a free card. So you get a free +1 with your leader ability, which is really good. On top of that, this is the first in which we have seen in the One Piece card game. So for example, Rob Lucci, when he swings, you trash cards and you basically lose those, right? Now, this might be a bad example, but with Rob Lucci, you also play out of the trash. Okay, I get it. But there are certain decks in which you don't play out of the trash. So for example, like Smoker outside of the 4-cost Rebecca, once it's in the trash, it's kind of in the trash. Kuzan, on the other hand, when you throw it away, you kind of get to replenish it and draw extra cards. So your hand is never really small. You typically always have a big hand. And I think that's kind of how Blue necessarily should be outside of Boa. Even Buggy allows you to draw a ridiculous amount of cards. But this deck itself, I feel like it's missing a lot of late game. And I get it, Garp at the end of the day allows you to play a character of 8,000 power or less. We still have yet to see future Navy stuff for Blue, and we all know it's going to come, and Kuzan will have his day, and we're all going to be super stoked. But currently, Kuzan is not on the same level as something like Blue Purple Luffy, or OP12, the big bad Zoro himself. So, currently, he's a lot of fun, and I do think I'm going to play this leader here in OP12, let alone some other decks, but we will be diving into this very, very soon here in the future with other variations to the list. Because I do want to dive back into this list and try to cook up something in which isn't run-of-the-mill Kuzan, right? All Navy packages. I want to do something a little bit different, if possible, if it can even work. But we'll check in on that later. Currently, this is going to be my list here for Kuzan. This right here is my second variation of the deck, in which I think I want to shift to. I'll leave both of these down in the description below. But we dropped the Gion. This is typically only useful against like Blue Nami, and I rarely ever see the leader, so I mean it's not necessarily like a must here in this deck. It helps out against Luffy as well when you know he's gonna play Gum Gum Giant, but it's not necessarily a need here. Yes, it cuts down on the 2K counters, but we already have a lot of 2Ks even without the 2 copies of Gion. So instead, I've added in 2 copies of Jozu and then 2 copies of 3000 Worlds. This is just to ensure that we can remove Cavendishes or remove Tashigis that hit the board or what have you. Same thing with Jozu. This allows us to bounce back a Searcher, whether it's Sengoku or Tashigi, and then bounce something on your opponent's side of the field. So, I mean, this is going to be my second variation of Kuzan. This is the one in which I think I'm going to shift to outside of playing my first one. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this leader. I do hope you guys pick it up, give it a shot. Let me know your thoughts in your comments down below. Let me know what you guys are running here when it comes to Kuzan, something else I should try. But until further notice, this has been Pawseplays. Remember, hit that like button so we get these videos floating around. And I hope to see you guys in the very next one and or at locals. Stay safe out there. I'll see y'all later.